You know how we Nigerians are always ready to put our hands to the till, to work hard. We're not lazy people. We're not looking for a free lunch, a free breakfast, or dinner, whatever it may be. We're always ready to work hard, and we're assiduous as it. That's how you can find that many people work hard for years, for decades even. They manage to put some substantial amount aside, and they want to build an abode for their family and for their loved ones so that they will have a place they can truly call a home. They need real estate, don't they? And that's where the integrity of those they seek matter. You need a real estate person who understands what it takes to get something done the right way. That means they must have integrity. You must do your due diligence. We welcome you to Weekend Deal today because that's our focus. How we can tell you about the pros and the cons. You are watching Weekend Deal, talking real estate and the proliferation of real estate developers, not just in the FCT, but in Nigeria. It's real estate in real time. My name is Thelma Obaja, and I welcome you today to our show. Of course, you know that I'm not alone. Patience Eluyaba is
Hello, yes, we're talking real estate today. We're talking real estate. You know how they say that government alone may not be able to provide all the infrastructure, all the things, social amenities we need, and constantly from time to time, government has called on the organized private sector to come in and help them. That's what happened, and PPP was born. PPP simply means public-private partnership, especially in the area of real estate, in the area of housing. You know that we have a whole lot of challenges as far as housing is concerned. I mean, it is said that we have so many houses in deficit, and depending on who you're speaking with, is between 17 and 20 million houses in deficit. Please, we need to get the real figure. That's by the way, but we need to get the real figure because we've been hearing between 17 and 20 million for so many years. And so with this PPP, a whole lot of estate developers were born. Some of them did what the government wanted, some of them did not. Yes, some of them did not. And so when you are approaching the real estate market, when you are looking to buy a house, please, like we say in our local parlance, shine your eyes. But don't worry, today we'll be shining our eyes along with you because our focus today is on the housing subsector, and we're narrowing it down to the real estate developers. It is your favorite weekend show, Weekend Deal, coming to you from the network service of the NTA.
in Nigeria, I know we always like to say it's not my passion. But if you don't do your due diligence, it just can't happen. You have the resources, you want to purchase a land or a house, you must do your due diligence, because experience tells us there are many heartbreaking stories out there. Some people are just looking for who they are going to fleece off. But it won't be you, and it won't be me either. But let our background feature take us through what's happening with real estate developers, not just in the FCT, but in Nigeria. Let's watch and learn.
In recent years, Nigeria has witnessed a remarkable surge in estate development, marked by the construction of residential and commercial properties across the nation. This phenomenon reflects both the growing demand for housing and the economic opportunities that real estate offers. One of the critical questions surrounding the proliferation of estate developers is whether they genuinely operate in the interest of Nigerians.
For now, the people that are on the streets are not benefiting, because the type of houses being developed are not the type of houses that people who actually need the houses are looking for. Why? Because either the size is so big and they don't have enough to put in the place, and even if it is given to them free, they won't be able to manage it. Number two, the cost is out of their way. They cannot. They are either building to rent or building to sell. The rents are unaffordable for the common man, and the cost of buying is outrageous.
Unfortunately, the estate development sector in Nigeria is not immune to scams and fraudulent practices.
We have the challenge of many people falling into wrong hands. Yes, these people are registered by CAC, but while they come to issues of land, they get land from wrong sources, and because of that, many people are lured into buying into their programs. Unfortunately, at the end of it, they will just discover that they are building on the wrong site. Why? Because they don't have the right titles. Two, they have not got approval from the constituted authority, particularly Development Control Department. Some of them go about with fake approvals backdated by area councils, which is not supposed to be so. And so these are the problems we have with estate development here. But to have people who are fraudulent among the estate developers is the major challenge in this industry.
The plight of unsuspecting investors who deposit funds for homes they never receive exemplifies the harsh realities of fraudulent practices in estate development. Such experiences highlight the urgent need for robust consumer protection measures.
It should have, some form of regulation. On the government side, that is why we have the various authorities, Lands Department, Development Control Department, and so on and so forth. On the industry side, we have the Real Estate Developers Association of Nigeria. They are expected to check their members, and there are quite a lot of people that are even into estate development that are not members of this association, which is not even right. People are supposed to get clearance from these places. They don't.
While the proliferation of estate developers in Nigeria presents opportunities for economic growth and improved living standards, it also poses regulatory challenges and risk of exploitation.
When you want to walk into any estate development program, please cross-check. In fact, the first thing for you to do is to get a professional town planner who will advise you. He will check basic things. One, genuineness of the title. Number two, the land use that place is expected to be put into. Number three, other conditions about development in that place, including the heights of buildings, including the spaces that should be created within and around where you want to build. That is what we call compatibility of that development. And then the next thing, he will go ahead to design the layout for you. That is when you will be able to meet all the space standards and locational requirements for what you want to develop. By this, you will save your life. By this, you save headaches and heartaches.
Therefore, Weekend Deal today is captioned Proliferation of Estate Developers in Nigeria.
Proliferation of estate developers in Nigeria is our focus today. And thank you so much, Francis, for that in-depth analysis. When they say due process, one of the ways you can do it is by walking up to Aegis. Aegis, the Abuja Geographical Information System. Walk up to Aegis yourself and find out about that property you're going to invest in. I mean, we all know that real estate involves a huge outlay of capital, and you do not want to be scammed. Now making our conversation richer and real, our guests are in the studio, and I'm smiling because I'm going to be introducing a woman that is making me proud. She's on top of her game. She's the Abuja chapter of the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners. Let's see her virtually first.
Town Planner Lamia Yuba, you're welcome to Weekend Deal.
Thank you so much.
And we're mighty proud of you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Let me bring in the same vegan vibrancy that patients use to introduce our town planner, because he's very informed about business strategies. Let's meet, greet, and welcome transformational leader, mentor, author, and business strategist, Francis Okumagba. Let's get to see his profile, and then we get to meet him in real time.
Oh, you're welcome, Mr. Francis. Okay, so before we actually start, you said something about our studio to us, and you'll be telling us, oh, NTA. Please say it on air. Say it on air. What did you say about our studio?
That we have raised the bar.
I can't believe what I'm seeing.
Okay,
Wow,
good.
wow.
Life, this is real time. Top notch,
NTA.
right?
That's how we do things, with the head, with our head, our DG, our comrade DG pushing us on. Okay, let's start the conversation. The proliferation of estate developers in Nigeria, Mr. Francis, is it a good thing?
Good and bad.
Okay.
Very good because the demand for housing is put at over 20 million deficit, so it is good. Bad because we are getting a lot of, almost everybody wants to be into real estate now, and we have a lot of fraudsters who actually take advantage of the demand that we have in the market. But I can say that it's obvious that we have to do something because we don't have housing for young people, and we also have housing for the poor and those who are in the average, and it's not also not available for investment purposes. So there's a lot more that we need to do. We need to sanitize the environment and make it more affordable and get the right people on track doing the.
Before I let you end it, the Redan, what is Redan doing in that environment?
Redan is doing a lot,
Okay.
but government needs to do more by way of regulation. Because if you look at the environment to the real estate, they said we are having a lot of provision of houses. But 70% of the houses that we're still producing are expensive houses, the bungalows and the duplexes. 25% of the houses are townhouses. Only 5% are apartments. And if you look at the population we have in Nigeria today, If you look at the workforce, 40% are people starting life. Another 20% are the middle class who actually also look at how they can do investment. These people are not taken into account in the provision of the proliferation of the houses that we're talking about. So today, the real demand we have in real estate is the opposite of what we are producing. 70% of the houses that we really need are affordable homes. Studio apartment, 1-bedroom flat, and 2-bedroom flat. But if you look at the estates that are being approved all over Nigeria today, you have all the estates as bungalows and duplexes. Look at Metama and Asokoro. 50% of the houses are unoccupied because they've gone out of the reach of the people. They can't afford those houses anymore. Look at the huge investment. 25% of the houses are townhouses. Then if you go through the road to the airport, you see a lot of completed estates that nobody is staying. Go towards Gwarimpa, you see a lot of houses completed, nobody is staying because they are duplexes and bungalows. Meanwhile, if you go to the satellite towns, you will see the population of people that we have there. You know what people are doing now? They rent a duplex and they get about 10 people to occupy the duplex.
They now
you start having people who are renting rooms instead of the house.
They sublet.
So we have a major problem in the way developers are producing houses. They are actually producing what people are not buying, what people cannot afford. So you see a lot of the houses today, they are completed, they are vacant. Meanwhile, the large demand that we have is out there, nobody is meeting it. And government is not building apartments like you have in civilized environment where you have condos and apartments. And investment is also almost impossible. Mortgages, almost impossible, because if you look at the salary of the ordinary man, the salary cannot afford mortgage. So mortgage is not taking place. If you go to any civilized environment, the major bank loans that they have is housing. But in Nigeria, it's the lowest form of loan that we have out there. So people can't take mortgage, the banks are not lending for real estate, and the banks are shunning out huge profits.
Let's let our town planner come in. Let's let town planner Lami come in. So many challenges that Mr. Francis is reeling out now. Is all hope lost? Because there are problems on ground. Nigerians are here. They are willing. Some of them are incapacitated. The banks are there. Mortgages are the in thing. Are there other ways people can get a place where they can call their own and abroad? Because everyone is working assiduously today to own where they live, because we're getting tired of renting. We want to own our homes in places where we can commute to work and still stay sane at the end of the day. Please tell us what's happening.
Well, let me talk first from the perspective of a town planner. Town planning is supposed to organize the city such that those who want to go to the city core to work live within the city core. Then those who have more money, those who can afford it, they live outside the city in the suburbs. But most times in our cities, the reverse is the opposite. Those who have access, who have money, who can afford to transport themselves to work, who can afford better housing, they live in big houses within the city core. And then the housing that is developed within the city core, and basically, like my colleague here mentioned, expensive housing, not targeting the daily commuters. There are many issues around housing that people will just struggle to get that paper, just stay in it, sell it. And if you go about saying, okay, you want to upgrade slums, upgrade poorly developed housing areas, you find that once you upgrade them, people will say, okay, since government can upgrade this, okay, they will upgrade it, they will sell it, and then they'll go and now establish another slum. So there are many issues around housing that government should really take up seriously. And then town planning is all about planning the city, ensuring sustainability, because like in my city here, most of the things that town planning do is enforcement, is monitoring, is planning, but then there is no sustenance, there is no continuum. For example, in FCT, there are a lot of agricultural secretariat, education secretariat. I've not seen a housing secretariat in FCT. And then Abuja is a migration destination. It has all the pull factors that can drag people from all over the country, all over the world to come and stay in Abuja. So what is the government doing in compiling data of this migration? how many people migrate into Abuja every day, how many new homes are created every day. And you find that if you are a big man, how many people do you need in your house to work for you? The driver, the house help, the cook, the nanny. They need houses. Now, when they come, because probably there's a lot of dependency around them, they drag their people. So one of your cooks can bring 10 people to Abuja next year. So when that one comes, where are they going to stay? That means if you don't envisage that, you now find out that you are creating, you need to create 10 homes for 10 people in future. Then how many marriages take place in Abuja every day? Take the data, you find that a lot of people marry either officially or unofficially, but new homes are created. Children are born. Where do you expect these people to live? And then you find out that all these, some of these big people that employ these people, they don't even care to understand or find out how they live, where they live, how they survive, how they cope with their life.
We ask you to hold your thoughts there. People need to be concerned about those who work for them and what's even happening in our city, in our states, indeed in our nation. It's all about real estate developers. We do hear that there is a proliferation. Is it true? How much impact are they making? There's more. Keep your messages coming in. We want to hear what's happening at your own end. But for now, our second break beckons. Don't go away. Weekend Deal. We'll be right back.
Weekend Deal. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, it is Weekend Deal, your favorite weekend show. And today, our focus is on the proliferation of estate developers in Nigeria. It's a whole lot of so many people's dream to own a house, but that dream can die fast if you fall into the wrong hands. Now, Sam Ben will be joining this conversation and he's talking about building dreams, avoiding nightmares.
Avoiding nightmares.
Estate development in Nigeria has a rich and complex history, shaped by colonial urban planning and post-independence economic boom. Understanding its origins is crucial for discerning the motivations behind shaping Nigeria's urban landscape and identifying pioneering developers who have contributed to its evolution. During the colonial era, urban planning in Nigeria primarily served administrative and economic purposes, resulting in structured urban areas designed to accommodate colonial administrators and expatriates. This laid the groundwork for future estate developers, emphasizing infrastructure provision and land use management.
The administrative panel then in Nigeria decided that if they can do this, why not we imbibe it in our model of development so that our people can live in a more beautifully, aesthetically pleasing environment than the haphazard building we are all used to living.
Following independence, Nigeria experienced rapid urbanization and economic growth, leading to a surge in demand for housing. Pioneering developers emerged to meet this demand, driven by a desire to create sustainable communities and improve living standards.
Their motivation is to ensure that all Nigerians, number one, are living just like our colonial masters lived in our nation, Nigeria. They wanted a model of housing that can accommodate all in a more pleasing environment, more structured environment, because when you don't bring out the road lines, you don't bring out the services and everything, the environment will never be functional. And they need a functionality in a system because they operate here, they live here, and this is home, and this is where they will always call home. So their motivation is that if they can do it, why not we?
One of the most pressing challenges facing the estate development sector in Nigeria is the prevalence of scams and fraudulent practices. Land grabbing, picture purchase scam, and Ponzi schemes have become all too common, preying on the unsuspecting investors eager to own property.
We have a lot of scam still going on in Nigerian housing sectors. One, in the process of land acquisition, we have multiple ownership of land. Sometimes you acquire the land through the right process, but at the end of the day, there are multiple ownership. or two-time ownership, and to factor the facts and maybe ensure that there is balance, or that they establish the truth out of whatever is existing between the two parties involved, or sometimes three parties involved. It takes time in the court. So I think the delays in the court too are one of the problems. And then some are naturally fraudsters. They will go and clear a land, a big plot of land, even go as a result of putting some banners telling you that this land belongs to them and they are selling it. Some will even mount a gate post with a big label indicating that this is their real estate land. And you see individuals, Nigerians, rushing to buy, maybe because of the accessibility and because of the affordability. Because what makes Nigeria rushed in is access. When it comes to landed property, is accessibility and affordability. Then functionality at the end of the day.
Victims of these fraudulent practices often find themselves in a difficult situation, unable to secure the properties they were promised or recoup their investment. Getting their money back becomes a daunting challenge as excuses are given instead of refunds.
When trying to acquire a property, a real estate property, that is land or houses, please, we should be thorough. We should not be naive. We should be informed about the property we try to acquire. And we can be very informed by making sure that they show us, let us have a copy of their R of O or C of O. Then you can verify in ages. It's free to verify. You just give a peanut, as in their own normal fee of verification. You pay, instead of losing millions, it's better to give out 5,000 or 10,000. That is the charges to verify a particular land authenticity. Nigerians need to know this. And then secondly, again, you can go through the building design. You can check the codes and everything. You can still verify that in ages if there is really approval for such building design. The company too, you can verify through the registration body if really they are genuine, and you can check their history. So one should not be naive, should not be misinformed or misled when trying to access or buy a land or property, because it's such an investment that every individual wants, but no individual should be losing money out of ignorance. Ignorance is not an excuse.
This video aims to ensure that dreams of home ownership do not turn into nightmares. Building a better future starts with making informed decisions and safeguarding investments from the risks posed by fraudulent actors in the estate development sector.
Due diligence is a phrase you'll be hearing over and over again because it saves your resources. It saves you. I can imagine somebody losing his entire life savings, a man or a woman or whatever, and they've worked for that resource diligently over decades, and everything just goes because some fraudulent person wants to get resources through a get-rich-quick scheme. But good thing we have experts in the house. When we use the word proliferation, someone may say there's a gamut of them, a lot. Are we saying we have more than we need? And if we have a lot of people doing this kind of a task, how come we say we have a housing deficit? So let me ask you, Mr. Francis, first off, who is a real estate developer? Do we really have a proliferation of them in our country? What are they doing?
There are very few real estate developers in Nigeria. If we had estate developers in Nigeria, we would not have a deficit of 20 million homes. What we have are agents and people who are actually facilitating real estate deals. If you look at the real estate sector today, we have a lot of people because of the huge demand that we have. The demand is so much, and producing a house now costs a lot. If we really have people that are really developing, you see a lot of skyscrapers coming up because the city is matured enough now to transform all those townhouses that we have, all those country homes that we have in the city center. Go to Dubai, go to London, go to New York. You see that our expensive land, they are building country homes on them when they are supposed to be building apartments.
We know that many people have said that. Let's use the FCT as an example. There's a master plan. Is it what is obtaining now? Is what's obtainable now?
The issue is that the plan has not expanded.
Have we deviated?
No, we have not really deviated much, but that, Abuja was supposed to be developed in phases. Abuja was initially planned to be a capital city, but it has come of age, it has matured. So now there should be a review of the plan to include now the new status of Abuja being a metropolitan, cosmopolitan city. Now, the housing, we are meant to provide housing only for civil servants.
Cosmopolitan city still embedded in the Federal Capital Territory.
Yes, because now the population has come of age. So, the planning of these whole areas were meant to just serve the civil servants. But now, with the influx of population, we find that there are more...
Madam, no. You said, I'm accusing you that we don't have housing plan in Abuja. Okay. If we have a housing plan in Abuja, why do we have these houses in Maitama and Asukuru as country homes?
Those places in Maitama were planned initially as low-density residential zones, right? Now, in urban planning, there is slum upgrading, urban regeneration, and all that. So there are principles in planning that over time, when the urban area matures, you identify those high-density, low-density residential zones that probably they are empty.
Let's talk more about advocacy when we come back from taking this feature. We're going to look at regulating estate developers. According to Mr. Francis, there are hardly any. But someone is talking about regulating the few that there are, or perhaps bringing those agents under one body so that there will be checks and balances and less people are scammed. Abuja, NTA Abuja packaged this feature. Your research was unrelenting, we do know. What did you find? Please share.
The Nigerian real estate market is overwhelmed with increasing number of unregistered estate agents bringing property to market for sale. Pressured to ensure standards in practice, the Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers, NIESV, and the Real Estate Developers Association of Nigeria, REDAN, have vowed to sanction any practitioner who engages in informal valuation services without proper registration, which eventually results in social consequences. But how can we differentiate the real from the quack?
If you are not a member of REDA, for instance, you can't practice estate development. That's the truth. But we have so many people who are in the market that are not member of REDA. And you have people who join REDA just because they want to leverage on REDA to do the things they want to do, not because they came to provide houses. So it's a little bit dicey. But what EFCC with NFIU and SCUMA has been able to do, if you are not a member of REDAN, you can't open a real estate account. So that means you cannot collect money from unsuspecting public. But there are other people, there are so many ways people still go around this. When they are going to register, they will not put anything in real estate. But what you see people do is that they just start doing the business, they don't care about anything, and they are careless with a lot of things. And managing finance, if you have never seen the kind of money that comes into your account, if you are not strong enough to manage funds, you begin to eat this money and the other people's money. Everybody is beginning to do the business because what they see from outside is that there's serious money in it.
These proliferations lead to potential displacement of unplanned and unlicensed structures and estates, which is eventually settled in court.
There are so many lawyers who don't know what to do. They may be familiar with how it works in Lagos. It's completely different from how it works in Abuja because the land registry and administration in Nigeria is not unified. I personally have a lot of personal experience. I'll just share one with you. I wanted a property that I can build and sell in life camp. I got a property. CFO in the system. It has not been collected, but the RFO, I saw it. I took it to Aegis and said it was genuine. I paid for it. Paid for the property. Applied for approval. Got got approved. I got to decide there was gully, there was water in the middle of the property. I tried to divert the water. So I spent over 10 million trying to make sure the place is good enough. Then fenced the property. I wanted to start working. Then somebody, a military serving general, came and said the property is his own. We searched at Aegis and the paper was genuine. I don't want to go through the process of what we went through with the general. He came and was breaking everything we were building. Up till now, we are still in court.
To avoid these, every estate surveyor must investigate the facts regarding the environmental, legal, and financial condition of the property referred to as due diligence.
We have to be sure that the property they are selling to you, they even have a right to sell. You have to do diligence on the genuineness of the land. This you can easily know through the agencies that be set. They have been established, they are in place. Like if you go to Aegis, for instance, you want to verify a land, you can verify the land, that this land exists. Because if a land that is sold for like 1 billion in Metama is coming to you at 300 or 400 million, yes, the person is desperate, that's what they are saying. You can go and get approval. You can fall for it. So he has to look for land. So in the course of looking for land, you can become desperate. And when you are desperate, where you have a fault, where the estate developer has a fault, is not doing his due diligence. Some of these houses that are built on the wrong location, like maybe a drainage way, maybe a waterway, they will be removed. Because if you don't take off that property, when the rains come, the flood can swallow about 20 or 100 houses. But just one single property that you take out of the way, there will be free flow. The borrowed money that they put into that property, that money can never be recovered. So some of them, they are psychologically and emotionally, economically, they may not recover. They will pay that money for life because that the property is demolished. It will not stop you, the people that give you money, from asking for their money. They must demand for their money. So if you don't have a means to pay the money, you will lose your sanity.
One salient issue that begs for solution is how to regulate the activities of real estate agents in Nigeria for the proper availability and accessibility of affordable houses.
Regulation is key. They say if you want a man to be productive and be useful to the society, give him a decent roof over his head. And if you want to jumpstart the economy of any nation, give the housing subsector a boost. Our conversation is on and our guests are still here. Now, it is obvious from what we've all said that our housing, the houses built, produced, are not reaching the people that need it. Yes. The big men, as far as housing for the rich is concerned, we are good. But when it comes to the low-income earners and people like us, Thelma and I, we can't afford these houses. So I will again go to Mr. Pumagba. How do we ensure that these developers, the few we have, or the credible ones we have, actually build for the low-income earners? Because whether you like it or not, social housing in Nigeria is not existing. How do we get social housing?
In our families today, only 5% of the population can afford duplex.
True.
Now, the family is the unit of society. We are producing houses that people cannot afford. Because most of these houses that are produced by people who are actually keeping money and laundering monies that they steal. Because if they are not laundering those monies and putting those houses like that, they won't be building houses that people are not buying.
Exactly.
Go towards Guarimpa, you see the estates that are completed that nobody is living in. Meanwhile, where we have the demand, nobody is facing those areas.
Nobody's there. Okay.
Now, regulation. You talked about regulation. Do you know that regulation is just a clog in the wheel in Nigeria?
Oh.
Yes. When you go to the land verification and getting approval for a building, for instance, a developer will spend so much money and spend a lot of time waiting. And this waiting time also increases the cost of these houses.
Yes.
If we really want to do regulation, it should be automated. Let people be able to get into their phones and check whether this house has approval. If you go to any civilized environment and you want to buy a house, you go into the system and check the history of the house. Everything is there. Why can't we do this automation? It doesn't cost much to do automation.
Let's let town planner Lami come in here. You know, earlier on, Mr. Okmagwa kept referencing Dubai. And I know at the time I was hearing about master plan for our dear FCT, I was hearing reference to Dubai. And over time, we have seen what Dubai has become. How close are we to matching our FCT with cities and towns like that?
There are all these things he mentioned are here in Abuja, but the issue is that government needs to take the initiative to develop and create policies for housing in this city. And then the whole issue about Maitama densifying and then zoning depends on the size of the land. If you have an estate of like 50 hectares, then we talk about zoning in densities. If you have an estate, depending on what we take the size of the land, but one of the key factors is, like I said earlier, is the ignorance of people who access these estates. And then even when you go to ages to verify, be very careful. I think it's better you get a professional to do that for you. Get a professional to do the verification for you, because you can go, the developer who is probably crooked will tell you to go and meet this person. He has already arranged with him. The person is sitting in one office.
That's their own master plan.
It's a syndicate. So you find that the whole thing is that
please our line,
can we take a few messages?
Yes, the messages are coming in. So it says, good morning, I'm Bilikisu Ibrahim from Mina. Thank you for always giving us impactful topics on Weekend Deal. How can I buy a land to avoid multiple land ownership? Another one says, your discussion is very educative and enriching. I hope developers could open their eyes to see better markets and target the real customers by developing affordable and available low-cost houses, apartments that actually guarantees quick return on investment. Keep on the good work, Thelma, and patience. From Barrister Ogwabo in Enugu. Okay, let me take it.
Okay.
The messages are too many.
I will allow you to respond now. We need to go to Lagos. So we need to go to Lagos now. Hold your thoughts. They are very engaging and vibrant. Okay, but Lagos beckons now. What are they talking about? We've had terrible narratives about building collapse, and in some cases, assessed property, what millions being lost, lives have been lost as well. Lagos, what did you find? Tell us about some good news, please.
With a teeming population of over 28 million people in Lagos State, it is no surprise that those handling the affairs of the state are faced with various degrees of challenges, especially the issue of the provision of decent accommodation for its citizenry. The challenge of the provision of affordable and decent accommodation for Lagosians have given opportunity to the involvement of estate developers in the private sector.
All over the world, private developers actually support government policies in terms of housing, So it's a standard. Government cannot provide house for everybody. That's not possible. So it was a welcome idea, and that has also helped to standardize, estate housing. Every street you go to now in Lagos is an estate because of that concept. You have your gate, you have your security, it was a good development, and it has actually helped in so many ways.
However, with the inclusion of estate developers in the private sector came along another daunting issue of proliferation, making its regulation a huge problem, with the resultant effect of structural failure of houses built without proper planning or permission.
With what is happening in Lagos State, I think the state just finally woke up, to maintaining standard, particularly if you look at the recent demolitions going on, people building on the, right of way, canal path and all that. It's not today. People have built some of those estates or houses on the path of canals for over a decade, but now the government is, taking the bull by the horn to say, hey, because if we don't do something about it now, it will create more problems tomorrow.
The alarming increase of building collapse in Lagos points to the fact that the zoning laws to building codes needs to be reviewed to effectively sanction defaulters and protect consumers.
The major challenges that come with the enforcement and compliance of building codes, some laws and regulatory oversight and performance of regulatory functions in Nigeria has to do with that of the lack of personnel and manpower. Before we start looking at the role that corruption plays in all of this, I think for the most part, most of these regulatory agencies do not have the necessary manpower, the trained manpower.
It's just enforcement. We have all the laws. It's just enforcement. If we see what the Commissioner for Environment is doing, Honorable Wahab. So if other commissioners who are in charge of urban development and all that are also doing the same thing, then that will reduce all these incidences. Remember the last incident of the 21-story building that collapsed in Ikoyi? That's so sad. But when you check the story, the initial engineer actually resigned, pulled out, because when the property owner started demanding or requesting that they use substandard materials for the construction, the man pulled out, and we saw what happened.
To ensure consumer protection and safer construction practice, it is clear that stricter enforcement of building codes and mandatory quality control measures have to be put in place in Lagos State.
The building code continues to give us headache, as it is still not giving the bite it deserves. If you want sanity in the building sector, please give the building code a bite. It creates sanity and tells everybody what to do. Building collapse continues to be an embarrassment to us as a nation. When it happens, it hurts on all levels. Okay. The argument during the break is even so interesting. Mr. Francis,
we should have something called behind the scenes.
I think we should. Mr. Francis is all out to, I don't know. He says, no, we don't have.
He said there's no plan.
There's no plan.
There's no building plan, housing plan. He now said we don't have estate agents even. No such word as proliferation at all.
You said the topic was proliferation of
estate
developers. It's not true. We don't have proliferation of estate developers. If we do, we will not have deficit of 20 million homes.
Okay.
Now, how do we attract the real development, the what do you call it, construction companies to come into Nigeria and start developing housing for us? We need to sanitize our system. We have the market. Nigeria is the largest, most populated country in Africa, so we have the market. So every developer you have there, most of the real estate structures that you have out there are saturated. So this is where the market is. But why are they not coming? I give you the problems that we have. One, the process of getting land in Nigeria is enormous. You have to go through a long process because they are allocating land to the wrong people. Now, regulation. Nigeria, we know that you need C of O to actually get real estate developers to get loans from banks and all that. Government knows that banks need C of O, but they don't give the C of O to developers. They give them R of O, right of occupancy. And that right of occupancy, they can use to take loans from the bank. That's one of the differences that we have in the real estate sector. Two, we also have situations where they know that banks need to give loans for development. In Nigeria, banks don't give loan at all for development. And real estate is so capital intensive. And Nigeria also everybody wants to do things on their own. Nobody wants to collaborate. And if you don't collaborate for real estate, it becomes very difficult to amass the money that you need to do in real estate. The monies are not there. Foreign investors who want to come to Nigeria, they are handicapped. Because when they bring their money to invest in Nigeria, the slow process makes the real estate development takes longer than necessary, increasing the cost of that real estate. Then when they want to repatriate their monies that they invest in Nigeria, they look at exchange rate fluctuation. It has affected them. They came into the country when exchange rate was 400 and something or 600 and something to a dollar. Now the exchange rate is 1,500 a dollar. So if you invest your money 2 years ago or 3 years ago to do a real estate investment, when you want to go out, you probably will have a loss at the end of the day because of the exchange rate fluctuation. Now there's nobody to actually bridge the gap that they have for investors to come here. I'm giving you why people are not coming The real construction companies are not coming into Nigeria.
Let's hear from Hajia. Let's hear from a town planner, Lami. He has stated our main challenge. Do we have a workable, actionable solution to this? And we often hear in Dubai, they'll say investors come in.
They won't come.
Is Nigeria asking investors to come in? Do we have the markets? Do we have what do they call that?
The current FCT,
an enabling environment for them to perform.
The current FCT is actually inviting investors to come in, and structures are being put on ground to ensure that when they come, they are not losing their money or they are not losing their investments. Now, the proliferation of this, let's go back to the proliferation. Let me add a few things. Looking at the estate developers and the Redan and all over, all these people, you find that they are entrepreneurs. And in entrepreneurship, you harvest energies. They come with energy to invest, to develop, and to contribute to housing. Have government look at the positive side of those energies and invested in them? Have they harnessed them? And then some of them are just also freelance, like my colleague here said. But then if those positive energies are harnessed and then policies are created and instituted and sustained, I think the housing sector will grow. There's nothing wrong in starting up. Normally when you start up a process, there are a lot of complexities associated with it, but then you streamline them. There's all hopes are not lost. These estate developers are willing to develop. I saw the Redan paid a courtesy visit to the FCT minister a few years back, and I spoke to one or two of them. Okay, what is up? Because we've had a lot of issues with that. I had to take some of you to Human Rights Radio because some of you collected people's money and did not deliver. I had to go to lead a protest to some of their offices with off-takers who were duped, who could not find their land. So we went to about 15 estate development offices that day with media to protest. Some of them were angry, but we were able to avert some demolition, and then we were also able to put hope in these people that, okay, professionalism works in Nigeria. Apart from the fact that the real estate developers are corny, some of them are real, and then people grow. And then even when you invite people from other countries, you cannot just go to their countries and invest. You have to invest alongside somebody who is a citizen.
Who is there.
Yes, so we don't just write off these real estate developers entirely. But what we do is that identify their energies, identify the positive impact they can make in housing delivery, and then harness it. Then bring them up together, because the government has the power. So when government makes a pronouncement, they will oblige, because they need government to also prosper.
But earlier, Patience talked about PPP.
Yes.
Where are we with that with regard to the housing sector?
That is where the solution
are
is.
Are they belabored?
No.
Financially?
That's where the solution is, PPP. But the problem is government needs to provide the enabling environment to bring everybody together. You can build an estate in Nigeria without looking at investors from outside. But if they come, it makes it more, we have more money to spend. But in Nigeria, we have the money. Those who have the money don't have sense. They dig money in sockaway pits when they should be putting the money in investment. And the ones that are super rich, they transfer their money offshore to do investment that their families don't know. When they die, the money die with them. Then those who have land, they hold their land. They don't use the land. If you really have the enabling environment and government seeks to create the enabling environment, you can get landowners to donate their land. You can get these rich people, because most time people are rich, they don't have ideas. You can get them to come up and actually have them make money by investing their money without touching the money. The money can be fixed in the bank and create a structure that will protect the money from being lost. Then you have the construction companies. You don't give construction companies money because they will go take the money and go to another site and abandon your site in a bid to get more contract. At the end of the day, you have a lot of abandoned projects. But if you want to put all this together, bring the landowner, bring the person.
So mergers and synergies.
But that synergy is not happening because we don't have conductors in Nigeria.
Okay, Town Planner, let me step in.
Let me say something. In every land allocation letter, there's a clause. There's a period within which you need to develop that property. Right? So the problem is that for government to enforce that clause, they will have provided infrastructure in that area.
I agree.
Now, there is a neighborhood I live in, and then I called one of the town planner officers. I say, there are a lot of empty plots here, and then they are not developed. They are posing a nuisance to they are posing a nuisance to the community. They are providing spaces for miscreants to stay. Can't you people enforce that clause? They said no. Government needs to provide infrastructure. So government needs to do a lot. if somebody has a land that has not been developed for 20 years because he's speculating, and then that clause is there, collect that land. Government has the power to enforce that clause. Collect the land.
Mr. Francis and Town Planner Lami. I mean, tell me, if we leave these two guests, we'll become the guests and they'll take over the program. That's what is happening right now.
This interaction, because it's well structured, is providing some enlightenment for Nigerians. It's time to let's relax a bit.
Let's relax
Can we chill? Do you like music?
Do you like music? Let's calm this thing down.
We have too many things to talk about. That
Wait, no, but we don't want to.
We need government.
When we relax a bit,
to create the enabling environment so that the people can have R of O instead of waiting for C of O, or give people C of O so that they can get money from banks.
Okay. Mr. Francis says he doesn't want to relax. So the producer says, let's take a break. Let's go on a break. Weekend Do takes a break now, but we'll be right back.
We are wrapping up our show here, but we'll be giving our guests just a minute to wrap up their thoughts. I'll start with Town Planner Ayuba.
Yeah, for housing to be sustainable and affordable in Nigeria, there is need for access to land, and then government should provide infrastructure, and then the certification processes should be eased out. Even if you are bringing in investors to come to Nigeria to invest in housing, there is need for citizen participation, and then also harness the energies of real estate developers.
Yeah, Mr. Francis.
Yeah. Nigeria is the investment bride of the world. The market is here. All we need to do is put our acts together. Those who have land, be ready to collaborate. Government, automate the process and take out all these agents and all that we have. We'll reduce the proliferation of real estate developers and invite real developers. In Nigeria, we have everything. Let landowners, those who have money, and government come together for collaboration so we can actually sanitize our real estate industry. If you have any challenge, look for me. I will help to cement the relationship that we have. Sure.
Okay. Thank you very much. We also have a town planner here, chairman of the association in the FCT. Can also seek her, okay? And if you want their contacts, reach out to us, okay? Through our messages, okay? Our iPad patients, show them. Every day we take your messages here. If you want their contacts, we'll be the connecting factors. So now we celebrate more synergies in the housing sector. We celebrate automation in the housing sector. We celebrate collaboration, and we urge our government at all levels to provide the enabling environment, okay, so that Nigeria can progress and grow.
Due diligence is the way to go.
All the time.
Shine your eye. Consult the professionals. Consult the professionals all the time.
Consultant like me.
Hey, God bless Nigeria, people. We hold hands.
Bye-bye.